Hi, in this video, we are going to talk about the new structure of events in Google Analytics GA4 and how it affects you as a user of the WP Google Analytics Events plugin, which will no longer be supported, and why and how to migrate to the new plugin, Goal Tracker for Google Analytics, which we built specifically for GA4. How to migrate events from universal tracking to GA4. In universal tracking, events were fairly simple in structure. You had a category, action, label, and value. That's all. This is all you could use for tracking events. And in GA4, things get more complicated but very powerful. So instead of the 4 categories that we have, now we can use a completely different event. We have an event name, and under it, we have a lot of properties that we can use, so key values that we can use. We'll see that an example in a second. Okay, so one thing to remember is that properties are actually metrics and dimensions. So metric is something like a number, could be a dollar amount, and a dimension could be a string, so something like a page URL or a form name. And to give you an example, let's say that we had an event that had the category call to action, CTA. The action was set to click, and the label was main call to action. And maybe we added a number for the value. And now we need to migrate this event to GA4. What would be an appropriate event in GA4? And now this is interesting. So we have more data to work with. So let's call this CDA click _ click. We're using the noun verb method, and we can add a lot of information. For example, we can say that this is from the hero section, and we can set the page to home, and the call to action is buy now, and the text is buy now. And as you can see, we can add a lot more information. But that also means that you have to rethink your events from scratch. So let's talk about naming events again. We are using the noun verb naming convention. You don't have to, but it makes sense. And here are a few examples. Form submit, link click, item view. Note that we're using the underscore here. And this will make sense for a lot of things and make things easier for you when working in the reports in Google Analytics. So this was a short overview of how events are different in GA4, and this kind of explains why the WP Google Analytics events plugin is no longer relevant with GA4, because everything, the underlying structure is different, and you can't just migrate your events on the back end. So in the next video, I will walk you through the steps of actually migrating your events, creating things, and working with the goal tracker for Google Analytics user interface. See you next time.